welcome to the Hobby Homestead. I thought I'd make a video about dogs, but not just any dog, like this dog. I thought that I should probably make a video kind of talking about our livestock dogs, and kind of the differences. Maybe I shouldn't drive through the bush while trying to make this video. The differences between a house dog, like Nova, who identifies as a cat, really, and livestock dogs, and specifically about our livestock dogs, because I'm sure a lot of people are probably wondering, or you never heard of, keeping livestock dogs, or what exactly livestock dogs are. So let's talk about it. I just had to save Dave in the field. He ran out of gas, so I just took him a jerry can. Just heading back to the farm now. These little side-by-sides are pretty handy. Anyways, let's talk livestock dogs. It's a pretty warm day. I think I'm gonna sit in the garden gazebo to talk about this. I need to get out of the sun. And also, I just love this gazebo. Anyways, so if you're new to this channel, we have a husky, which you probably just met, and her name is Nova. She's a Siberian husky, and she is the tomato stealer super secret agent of the year, and she also identifies as a cat. Her favorite thing to do is, other than stealing tomatoes, is to lay inside on her bed all day cuddling with cats. So that's Nova. But we also have two livestock guardian dogs, and they are Great Pyrenees. And so historically, Great Pyrenees were sheepdogs and just livestock guardian dogs in general. What a livestock guardian dog specifically is a dog that guards livestock, which sounds so obvious, but a lot of people think that farm dogs and livestock dogs are like cattle dogs, or like collies that herd like livestock and stuff. These dogs can't really do that, although I will kind of touch on the herding thing. Great Pyrenees are not professional herders as a rule, but their job is to bond with the livestock and protect them from predators. But the point is that their bond is so strong that a lot of these dogs are willing to die for their livestock, and that is what makes them extremely loyal and valuable dogs. So now that I've kind of given you a rundown of what a livestock dog actually is, I'm going to talk about kind of our dogs individually. So the first one we got was Bailey, and he came with that name. We didn't name him. And a friend of mine had bought him when he was a puppy, and she lived in the city, and she after he got a couple months old with her, she realized that he can't cope being in the city, because the reality is these dogs are not pets, and genetically they don't want to be pets. They can't handle being pets. The only thing that they're really good for, if they're not going to be with livestock, is protecting kids, but then you're kind of opening yourself up to possibly an unfair situation where, you're the parent of that kid and you're trying to go near that kid and that dog is going to bite you. So these dogs, you really have to know what you're getting into. They're not for first-time dog people, and they're definitely not for the city. And they're definitely not pets. They also like to roam. You cannot, and they're climbers. They're fence climbers and tree climbers and everything. So you can't have a small property and have livestock dogs. So Bailey, my friend asked if we could take Bailey, and at the time, we knew we wanted livestock dogs, but at the time we were just like, oh gosh, like we're not ready. We don't have any fencing up because, you know, I'll again touch base on the fencing part later. But you know, we didn't have any fencing. It was wintertime. It was February. And so we were kind of like, what do we do? Anyways, we took him because we seemed to have a problem with saying no. And you know, we had to kind of show him how to be gentle and safe around chickens. And the way we did that, so like he didn't have any he didn't really want to hurt chickens, but as a puppy, he just wanted to smell them, and if they ran away, he wanted to play and chase them. So like that was something that we really had to control. So with these dogs, you kind of have to teach them the ground rules of stuff. You don't have to teach them how to guard or how to like, you know, do what they're good at, or at least you shouldn't have to, because it's all genetics. But we did have to like teach them the things not to do, like chasing livestock, eating livestock, escaping, wandering, climbing out, all that stuff. So Bailey was super easy. He, even though he spent some time in the city, he was born knowing what to do. And it was absolutely amazing. Like, we had such a great experience with him right off the bat. And, you know, I call him king of the farm, because he is. Like, he's just a master of a livestock dog. So he's, you know, he's really good at his job. He's a bit grumpy. By grumpy, I mean if he doesn't know you, or we have visitors here, he's pretty loud and he'll growl. But this goes back to, like I said, these dogs are not dogs that somebody who is inexperienced should be owning, because they're not like a typical dog. In fact, and they're a million times smarter than a normal dog. So yeah, that's Bailey. Then a few months later, we were in a position to get another livestock dog, and we had such a good experience with Bailey that you know, it was a pretty easy decision. So we got Poppy, and you know, we were told that like she's, you know, fully trained and ready to work and all this stuff, and she was on a working farm and all this stuff, and that wasn't true. And you know, when I talk about Poppy, I'm not here to diss the previous people that owned her. It's just the point of that there were mistakes made, unintentionally or intentionally, with her, and maybe there just wasn't enough experience in having a dog like her. You know, no hate, but there were some real problems that we had with Poppy. So the first like few days that we had Poppy home, she would just non-stop cry, like in her sleep, just sitting there, like, you know, sitting on the couch, being outside. It was just like non-stop crying. And, you know, at first we thought it was like, okay, like new home, she's adjusting, you know, like, she's got to get used to us and all this stuff. And she kept doing it. When we took her to the vet to get spayed, you know, we had the vet check her over to make sure that, you know, like she wasn't actually in pain and that's why she was crying, and she was fine. She had a clean bill of health physically. And then when she got spayed, she just stopped eating, and you know, she couldn't, I guess, mentally cope with that, like with a surgery. I don't know what really happened, but we had to take her back, and she was really ill. It just seemed like she kind of mentally just kind of given up on life. That's just the only way I can explain it. So, there was that experience. And then, we were waiting for her to heal and, and get better and all that stuff. So as time went on, her anxiety and behavior did not improve. It just kept getting worse. We were trying to crate her during the day, like as a temporary measure to keep her safe. Because we knew early on we couldn't trust her in the fence because she was just looking for any which way to get out, and she could. So we were just crating her for short periods of time in the day when we couldn't really supervise her because she was so young. And she destroyed 3 crates, maybe 4. Anyways, brand new crates. She would stress drool, and like to the point of like complete dehydration, and she'd be covered in her own drool. These cages were getting destroyed, and then her anxiety reached this point where I went to get her out of the crate that she was in, because we got to the point of like barricading her, like putting stuff like tables and chairs and stuff in front of the crate to try and like keep the crates like contained together, right, so she couldn't break out of them. And anyways, there were 2 separate incidences where she lunged and bit me. And I'm an experienced dog owner, and I recognized in that moment that it's not her fault that she bit me. It's something that I have done or something that I haven't done to meet her needs, if that makes sense. Spoke to the vet. The vet recommended tranquilizers, but they said it was a temporary solution, and it was a temporary solution, and it just made her like a drooling zombie for like a couple hours, and then she was right back to anxiety. So like that didn't work. We couldn't leave her alone. She couldn't cope with a crate. She was getting more reactive in the way that when her anxiety was so high, that's when she was going to bite. I hope you guys understand when I say she is a dog that has been backed into a corner mentally in life, and that's the way that she is. So, we're like, what the hell do we do now? So the vet recommended some trainers. I spoke to some trainers, and they were either too busy or nobody wanted to deal with the dog like that, and also nobody had experience with livestock dogs. So these were trainers that were for pet dogs, and so couldn't find anybody to help me. And her anxiety was so bad, it was getting worse. And I'm not proud to admit this, but I'm also not going to lie to you. The reality was that even though she was a livestock dog, we were so desperate that even if she could just be a house dog the rest of her life, that was fine. It was just we had to deal with this anxiety problem. And it was the worst anxiety problem. And we knew that rehoming her was not going to work because we were just passing the same problem on to somebody else, and it was going to re-traumatize her because she'd have to get used to another home. And it would be hard to find somebody that actually could cope with a dog like that, because we have a pretty high experience level and threshold of things we can cope with animals, and I've never known anybody else that's like us. So, rehoming was not an option. I spoke to the vet about it, and, we were discussing behavioral euthanasia. Not for the convenience of us, but for the fact that her anxiety was so through the roof. I thought, how is she going to live the next 15 years of her life terrified and crying all the time? Like, let alone, how are we going to deal with her? All I could think is what kind of life is that going to be for her? And I'm not proud admitting that. And looking back, Jesus, I'm so glad we didn't do it. But things were pretty hopeless. We were kind of at this point of like, what else can we do for the poor soul? And just by luck, because we had the appointment booked for her to be euthanized, a trainer that I'd contacted, had phoned me, and said, there's this animal behavioralist that, I think you should try. So, I mean, we were so desperate that we're like, yes, whatever it takes, let's try it. So, delayed the euthanasia appointment and contacted this animal behavioralist. And she came and she gave us a lot of pointers and kind of directions to go with Poppy. But the biggest thing is that she said that Poppy should be on a long-term antidepressant. And I'm like, what? Dogs can go on antidepressants? That's kind of wild. But anyways, phoned the vet. Said I need antidepressants for the dog. They wrote up a prescription and I had to go to the human pharmacy to go get it. And so now she's on Prozac. So after the Prozac kicked in and, was at a functioning level in her body, honestly, it changed and saved her life. She went from a dog that was always shaking and crying and nervous, and literally had terror in her eyes, to a dog that actually smiles all the time, and she's just so happy, and she's not doped up or droopy, if that makes sense. It's not like she's heavily medicated. The dose that we have her on works just perfectly, and it's changed her life. And so then we just started working with her to be outside, to be a livestock dog, to see if she actually wanted to do that, and she did, and that's what she does now. She's a great dog. And she just took a little bit more effort, and I think we were kind of tricked into a false sense of security because Bailey was so easy to put into a livestock dog working situation. And so we thought, that must be what these dogs are like. But Poppy, she just took a little bit, and I'm really glad that we persevered and that we didn't put her down, because honestly I don't think I could have lived with myself if I'd done that. So Poppy is working, and she loves working, so guys, if you have even a pet dog, not even just a livestock dog but a pet dog, then you're struggling with, persevere. Not all cases end up in behavioral euthanasia. There are options out there. You just got to find the right support. Boy, am I glad that we found that animal behavioralist. In terms of fencing, and this is what I was gonna kind of bring it back to from what we were talking about earlier. So all these livestock dogs are a little bit different in fencing needs. Some dogs are not really that interested in leaving, and other dogs are. Bailey, if he gets out, he will literally stay on the property. He will not leave at all. If Poppy gets out, she will run, and literally run for miles down the road. And so she, that's kind of, she's a risk, but Bailey not so much. So we had a few trial and errors with the fence with Poppy, and we found that what works best for us is hotline, and we use I call it horse rope. It's rope with copper wire through it. and we have 3 strands in most spots. And she didn't even have to test it. It seems like where she came from before, maybe that's what they had there, because as soon as like the wire went up, she's like, okay, I understand. I'm not gonna go near it. Bailey, on the other hand, he sometimes goes over to the line, and even though he's been shocked a few times from it, he will hold his paw on the bottom line and see how long he can hold his paw there, because that dog is so smart. He is literally training himself and conditioning himself, I think, to get through the line. So, you know, I've heard of other dogs that aren't like this, like livestock dogs that you don't have to contain them so much, but R2 especially have different needs for fencing. And that's, if you are thinking about a livestock dog, do not get one until you have fencing. Like, and not just a couple lines. I'm talking like you need like a very, at the bare minimum, a cattle fence. 4 feet tall, 5 feet tall, 6 feet tall. And then you're going to need hotline inside. You're going to need a line close to the ground because they will try and dig under the fence. You're going to need a line close to the top because they're going to try and kind of lean on the fence and push it over, or, jump up over. Also, a lot of people are under the idea that when you get a livestock dog, even if they're a little older, or even if they're a puppy, that you just kind of throw them in with your livestock and that's it. No, you don't. You need to work with them. Even if they came from a working farm and was a working dog before, you need to work with them because they need to know you, they need to trust you, and they need to meet your livestock, and they need to get used to your livestock. This has taken months of daily work to get our dogs to the point where we can trust them. We can leave them alone. They will stay in the pen. They will protect. Bailey has protected livestock and us from wolves, and coyotes and foxes. And so, he's an extremely valuable dog now, but, it took a long time to get him to this point. So I think I'm going to wrap up the video. We are not experts in livestock dogs, but we definitely have had a lot of experience and different kinds of experience. So if you're thinking about getting a livestock dog, I hope that this video was really valuable to you, and I hope that I kind of answered some questions or explained some stuff. Also, if you have any questions about livestock dogs, comment below, and I will try to answer them, or I'll try and direct you to the right resource. If you're thinking about getting a livestock dog, there's like Facebook groups and internet sites where, you can join and you can ask questions and you can talk to other people that have livestock dogs. I joined one of those like a year before we even got one, and just kind of the information that I kind of soaked up over time, it kind of stayed in my head and stuck with me. So, don't just go out and get one of these dogs, because you will be doing yourself and that dog a disservice. There are a lot of these dogs in shelters because people go out and get them and they don't know, and they don't realize how much work actually goes into looking after them. And then usually what happens is there's a biting incident, or, they just run away tons of times and people give up and they end up in a shelter. And, that's really unfair to the dog, and unfair to put yourself through that as well. So please do your research. If you have any questions, reach out, ask me, ask us, ask anybody, please, before you get one of these dogs. Anyways, I hope gave you some valuable information. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Before I go, I just want to show you this mighty sunflower that just came out. It is a lot taller than me. Not the tallest I've grown, but it's pretty cool.